Okay, you're gonna overhaul a cat rotochamber, and you don't ever want to do this with the newer style ones or they'll kill you. This is the older style park brake, and this is the parking mechanism in here. Anyway, you've got to have two sources of air, so I'm using the shop and the service truck, and see if you apply air to this like this, it'll come out, see, and then stick, and that's because the park brake's on. So in order to get the brake off, you apply air to this side and then goose it on this side, and it releases. So I've removed all the bolts, and now I've got to get this to come apart. They're kind of a bear. Turn the air on, I guess. Okay, people are going to say I'm crazy for doing this, but you'll see that I'm not once I get it apart. And you don't want to come, so little hammer. There you go. And this is a spring. And it's not, this is just a return spring. This doesn't apply it. So this is your park brake here. You can take the air off now. Now we'll go get a screwdriver and take this apart. What happens in here is this seal on the piston gets bad, and it makes it impossible to get your brakes to release. And there's a pretty good spring under this. What you don't ever want to do with this with the new style cat spring brakes, because they have a spring in there to apply, and it will kill you dead. But these are called, this is called the Type 50 rotochamber, and this one happens to have the parking brake attachment. Okay, and then here's the guts, and then inside here's the rollers in here. Okay, this is the rotochamber, all part cleaned up. This is the piston that releases the brake rollers. Put that in. Then this is the cam. It's tapered. And that goes in with the taper up. Don't let me screw up, okay, Matt? Then the rollers go in with grease. Then this goes on plastic over the rollers. Then the spring, correct? Spring goes like this. We'll put grease all over the spring too, otherwise that's going to corrode. And we use white grease here because we're the good guys. We're the Dodge good guys from Dodge. Then this is going to go on here. Like this. Starting to shake. God dang it. Come on, man. Okay, this is the piston ring seal for the piston. Goes in here. And this is the seal for the cover. seal, the piston seal runs on the outside of this, so you gotta have plenty of grease on that. Oh, and then bushing. Can't forget the bushing. That goes in here. This. And that goes in there, and you put the screws in. Done. For the bottom half. Like I explained earlier, absolutely don't try to work on one of these if it's the long type, because that's got a killer spring in it. This one does not have a killer spring, but it still can be dangerous if you don't know what you're doing. Anyway, this is a new top clamp. The other one I don't know, it just doesn't look too good. Anyway, I've had this laying around since '03, so I'm going to use that. So what you do is, there's lots of pieces, parts to this. This is a part of the clamp ring. Goes on here like this. And then this piece is going to go over it like this. And you've got studs in there. So now it's sandwiched in there, and then when it's all done, it's going to go inside that. So then this is the shaft that runs in the lock for the parking brake. That goes in. Okay, I've got all the bolts in. I'm going to put a liberal amount of this silver anti-seize, high temp anti-seize on there. Otherwise, when you go to take them off, you're going to twist those studs off, and you're going to have to buy this piece here. Anyway, so now this piece is going to go in here like that, and then this diaphragm is going to get folded over the edge of this upper clamp like this, and then it's going to go inside this housing, and this is going to get clamped by the housing. And then the way this works is when you apply the air through this end, it's going to come up like this, and there's your diaphragm. Next thing is take silicone, and when this goes in here, I'm going to silicone around the top here where this goes up through the bolts, because where this sits upright like this, all the snow, dirt, mud, water comes in here, and it'll go inside, and it will rust this like you can't believe, and then you'll just end up throwing the whole thing away because you'll destroy it. Okay, now it's time to massage this baby in there. Let's see if I can do it. Probably should soap it. Do something to... I don't know if this is gonna... Without some kind of lube, I'm not sure this going in. You know what works best? It's probably just good old WD-40. I just put some on a... Lube up the paper towel and just give it a light coating inside here. It should whiz right in, I hope. Problem is, I gotta line up those holes to get the nuts on them. Whew, there we go. There we go. In. You can see the silicone squirted out here. Anyway, when you tighten this all down, basically you're pinching that diaphragm right in here against this top clamp. Now you gotta put the spring in, and this is the spacer for the spring to keep it off of the bolts, and it just goes over the studs. Then your spring goes in. Then there's an O-ring that goes on the bottom of this lower housing right here, and then judging from the lack of paint, I'm gonna say it goes on, I can't really tell, like this. Yeah, something like this. So this has got to compress that spring, go down on that shaft. There we go, look at that. Woohoo! But now it's not exactly straight. So I gotta get a hammer, whack that. Probably gonna have to go put her in the press. Okay, so I didn't go put it in the press. I just got ticked, put it on the floor, stood on this, and then kind of just stomped it, and it went right down. Anyway, got lucky. You can see my holes are fairly lined up. Okay, here's the hog ring. I got to get it in this little hole. Matt, can you help Daddy get his rubber on?
What's that?
Can you help Daddy get his rubber on? I can't get my rubber on.
Put it on the tip and roll it.
Oh, I'm trying. I can't seem to. Like, wow, you've done this before. Wow.
Good.
Apparently. Okay, rubber installation complete. There you go. Okay, now this has got to get in there, so you just take a hammer. There we go, and we're in. Hammer, and we're in. Okay, round two. Fight, fight. I got this in, but this one, I didn't even notice it. I'd thrown all the old nuts away and everything. This one had to use fine thread nuts. And so I had to go somewhere and find some. And in Blackfoot, Idaho, that's pretty hard to do. Had to go down to the Fastenal store to get some. I need to tell you, I was at Conexpo last week. I gotta apologize to Chris and Alex and Bud that I didn't show up to dinner. But I was waiting for my guys, and see, I'd come in earlier today. I rode down with one of my salesmen from the local cat dealership, and the boys were coming in later. Anyway, I was sitting at the slot machine playing the same slot machine for about 4 hours, and the boys showed up, and Chris had texted me and said they were going to eat down at Hard Rock. Oh yeah, there was also Ryan. Good old Ryan from Nebraska was there too, and so I got to apologize for not coming down, but I was sitting at the slot machine and pushing the button, and boys showed up, and they were hungry, and they wanted to eat, and by that time Chris still hadn't figured out what they were going to do yet. So I was starving too, plus the fact that I'd been sitting at the slot machine for 4 hours, and Miss Kwan, the nice lady with the drink tray, kept coming around. Anyway, by the time Chris texted me and told me they were down at the Hard Rock, and I was clear at the south end at the Luxor. I just had to text him back and tell him I was in no condition to even have somebody pour me in a cab and get me down there, so I had to kind of bow out. Anyway, had an awesome time, took 0 pictures, I can't believe it. Camera was in my pocket the whole time I was there. I took no pictures, no video. Oh wait, I did take some interesting video, and this was my view from the slot machine that I'd been working over for the last 4 hours. You get a kick out of this. Let me show that to you. But anyway, I kind of really regret not finding those guys. I didn't even think about it, but I should have tried to find them the next day. But then what was it? Oh, the next night I had tickets to the Caterpillar open house at Caesar's Palace, customer appreciation. Boy, did that place, that was terrible to try to find that. Anyway, I finally found it, and they had an open bar and hors d'oeuvres. Didn't really have much in hors d'oeuvres. So again, I was running behind. I hadn't eaten anything. I show up, and the guy I rode down with, he's handing me beers and cocktails, and pretty soon I'm bug-eyed, and that was a weird deal. They had a girl band, a live band playing at volume 100, so you had to yell at each other. You couldn't really visit with people. We didn't get to meet any of the Caterpillar people. They had women hanging from the ceiling doing the silk thing in skin-tight bodysuits. They even had a dude there, and I don't know, maybe that was for like gay contractors. Haven't met any gay contractors. They might be out there. I don't know. So anyway, after the lights came on, I mean, they turned the lights on at 7:59 and closed the bar. That was it. End of the deal. Cat guys left. Everybody left. And anyway, I turned around and I saw Scott sitting there, Pushy Six. So I went over and talked to him for a while. And took a picture with him. He seems like a real nice gentleman. Anyway, I had one guy come up to me at Conexpo. All of a sudden I heard this guy say, Jpaydirt. Anyway, it was David Newby, and he's from Wyoming. It was really good to meet you, David, and visit with you. That was awesome, and I'm really regretting that I didn't get to meet those guys. But I did hook up with Albert Rock. And Albert has a YouTube channel. It's called Soldier of Dirt 81. And I got to meet up with him, and we were sitting there talking, and then I had to leave. Anyway, neither one of us thought about it, but I didn't even get a picture with him. But I've known Albert for a long time. I went down to San Antonio to bring home my sister 2 or 3 years ago. And I told him I'd stop by and see him, and ended up going a different direction than where he was. I'd probably had to go 30 miles the wrong way, and since I was driving a moving truck and pulling a tandem axle trailer with a Jeep Cherokee on it, I just couldn't do it. But so I got to visit with Albert for a while, and let's see, he was hanging out with Will White out of California, and then Scott, Pushy Six. You'd think that you'd see a whole lot of people that you know off YouTube, but like I say, with 150,000 people there, it's just insane. So it's kind of, sometimes you run into them, sometimes you don't. Wish I'd run into them. So anyway, what happens in Vegas, they say stays in Vegas. But my motto is two can keep a secret if one is dead. So I had to kill everybody before I left. So I apologize for those that I had to kill so they didn't tell on me. Our wives wanted to go to this. They were all ticked that we were going to this, and we'd planned this. Gal a couple of years ago said, actually it was after the last one, we said we're going back, and the women were like, well, we want to come, and it was like, no, this ain't a woman thing. If you were going to a lipstick convention, there's no way in heck I'm going. I saw this one guy, and we were walking across the sky bridge there between the Gold Lot and the North Hall. She was a bitching and belly aching and asking why in the world she came. I wanted to say, I don't know, why did you, honey? There's nothing here that you're interested in. Crying about how much walking they were doing. Of course, she was a big old gal, and I'm sure it was pretty tough on her. That's another thing. Go to Conexpo, it's a pretty good weight loss program. Unless you stop at every food thing and eat. I stopped and had, I don't know if anybody else did, but I stopped and had some barbecue brisket clear over on the Gold Lot, and promptly went home and pretty much emptied everything that was in me, and so did everybody else. My son had a hamburger there, somebody else had the barbecue pork. Anyway, we all went back to the hotel and took turns in the bathroom. It was bad. So I learned you got to be careful what you eat there, or who you get it from. So if you go, my other advice is bring lots of money, and if you don't want to lose any money, don't go gamble unless you're any good at it. And even if you're good at it, system's still rigged, they're going to take your money. So take lots of money if you want to have that kind of fun. Throw a few bucks away. I did. I spent 4 hours on a slot machine, so that was cost me 25 bucks an hour, but I had fun. Oh, forgot to mention why I'm getting these scrapers ready. We have a scraper job. Gonna go down and dig a 30-foot deep hole down in American Falls. Same thing I did. I have a video called 30-foot hole, and that's what we're going to do every 4 years. We go down and dig them a C&D, construction and demolition waste pit, and Matt's working on his 613 today. He's got work for it. He's got to go do. That's come in handy for him. He does a lot of residential stuff, small jobs, things you can't do with a 37. I used to landscape around houses with 37s, backfill. One guy, he wanted me to push some pit run gravel up behind his house and over the tank, and he showed me where the tank was, and he says, oh, you'll be all right, you know, as long as you don't put the full weight of the tractor on it. And I'm like, okay. So I get pushing it up there, and I work my way towards that end of the house, and I got a big old blade full, and I come up, and all of a sudden the blade full of gravel just disappeared, and there was, you know, shit water running everywhere, and you could smell it. Just the weight of the gravel had caved the top in. It was a cheap tank with a 2-inch concrete lid and just wire mesh for rebar. Anyway, just exploded it. So he called this other guy I know, and he came over with his backhoe to fish all the crap out of the tank. So while he's sitting there on the backhoe cleaning the stuff out of the tank, his girls come home from school, and he told him, he says, don't use the toilet. So we're sitting there, and the guy's digging the stuff out of the tank, concrete, and all of a sudden out the pipe comes a wad of toilet paper and a big old turd. He just about threw up right there. Oh, that was funny. Some of those things in life you go, how did I get involved in this? I don't know. Okay, this is the left-hand side brake can. I got that in, but I want to show you the other side. Okay, this is the hydraulic tank, and the brake is up in here. Anyway, I gotta sit here, and I had to take this bracket off right here and bolt it to the can, and then lift the can up in there and get it on, then reach my hand way up in there and get the hoses hooked on. Anyway, I think I need a rotator cuff now. I am black all over. Look at me. I'm a mess. Anyway, at the end of the day, I've had enough.
Let's drink till we stop breathing. You know I've got my reasons, but I'll be drinking, cheating, loving.